Superman, the Man of Steel, the last son of Krypton. Silver Surfer, herald of Galactus, wielder of the power cosmic. And Jiren, the most powerful of the Pride Troopers and champion of Universe 11. Three of the most powerful characters in all of fiction. And today, well, they're gonna fight. We're gonna analyze their strength, durability, speed, powers, and abilities in order to find out who wins. So let's get to it. What's up, guys? I'm Daniel and this is DanCo. We do fight breakdowns every week, plus the occasional power ranking video like this one or things like that. So if that seems interesting to you, we'll sit back and enjoy the video. Hit that like button. If you want to, well, hit the subscribe button while you're at it. Now let's get to it. Now, strength is easily one of the biggest factors in this fight. And let me tell you, all three of these guys are incredibly strong. Like, take a look at Superman. And just to clarify, this is a composite version of Clark Kent, so taking feats from Post-Crisis, New 52, and Rebirth. On top of that, Silver Surfer will be from Earth 616, and Jiren is taking feats from both the anime and manga. Now, Superman is clearly no stranger to moving and lifting around planets. I mean, he's just moved the Earth almost more times than I can remember. He's pulled the Earth back into orbit, along with Green Lantern, all while Starbreaker was trying to use his power to move the Earth into the sun. He's pulled the Earth alongside both Wonder Woman and Martian Manhunter. He's pulled the Moon before, and just regularly pulled off planetary level feats. Now let's take a slightly closer look at that. So the Earth itself weighs 6.6 quintillion tons, or 6.6 billion trillion tons. That's what we're operating with here. Of course, if you're looking at the Starbreaker occurrence, well then you gotta cut that in half, because GL was helping here too. Can't discredit Hal. So that's 3.3 quintillion. But still, 3.3 quintillion tons. No small thing. But you want to take that and make it even more impressive? Well, what about the time where Superman bench pressed the whole weight of the Earth? All 6.6 quintillion tons of it for 5 days straight. And only barely broke a sweat. Wasn't even tired from it. And that is just crazy. The fact that it's nowhere near his max rep. And that is just everything we can quantify with science. Superman regularly deals in the extreme of extremes when it comes to strength. Like he's lifted an infinite book with infinite pages before. He's helped to pick up the Spectre, who is as heavy as all eternity. He's held black holes in the palm of his hand. He's even pushed around a compressed solar system before. It's kinda tough to beat Superman when it comes to strength. But both Surfer and Jiren have a genuine shot at doing it. Now, when Galactus granted Silver Surfer the power cosmic, well, one of the biggest things that the power cosmic did was give Silver Surfer some absolutely incredible superhuman strength. There have been countless times where he's easily overpowered the Thing or Abomination or the Rhino. So some pretty strong guys, but he's also easily fought against the likes of Thor and Hulk and Beta Ray Bill, showing off his superior strength against some of the strongest heroes in Marvel. He's been able to throw moons at Galactus during their fight. He's busted out of planets before. And one time, Surfer even took a spaceship and threw it out of the solar system, where it was said to continue on a straight line path for centuries. So yes, Surfer is strong. Same with Jiren. I mean, he's easily one of the most powerful mortal warriors in the multiverse, and is said to be the strongest man in Universe 11. So that's no small thing. During the Tournament of Power, Jiren was able to casually knock away multiple fighters all at the same time. In fact, that was just a regular thing for him. Jiren overpowered pretty much everyone else during the tournament. He was able to easily bust through plenty of barriers built by Android 17. He could actually break out of Hit's time cage, so basically transcend time with just his fist, and Jiren was able to block countless punches from Super Saiyan God Goku with just his finger. He was able to overpower everyone in his path, and it was all light work for him. And all of that was before Jiren broke his limits and reached super full power, a form where he's stronger than most of the gods of destruction. And while in that form, he was able to match up against mastered Ultra Instinct Goku, easily the most powerful form of Goku that we've seen so far. So when Wiz says that you're more powerful than a god of destruction, when fighters like Frieza say they want to avoid fighting you, well, you know you're pretty strong. But are either of these guys stronger than Superman? Well, that's hard to say. Silver Surfer can definitely match Superman, just like he's matched with the likes of Hulk and Thor before, but I don't think I would say Surfer is definitely stronger than Superman. And with Jiren, well, he might be more powerful than Superman, but it's kinda hard to distinguish with him what is physical strength and what's his incredible energy powers, which we'll get to later. And I do tend to be more in the camp that characters in Dragon Ball are surprisingly physically weak, especially compared to their incredible, potentially universe-level energy output. All that being said, strength goes to Superman. Now, if all of them can throw out some incredibly strong punches, the next question is, who can take the most of those attacks? So Silver Surfer, we all know he's incredibly tough. I mean, the guy surfs on supernovas just for fun. He can fly through stars absolutely no problem, even if some of those stars are strong enough to literally melt planets. He was able to take countless punches and attacks from Hulk and Thor, but not just that, but attacks from the likes of Galactus and Thanos. Planet-destroying blasts were only powerful enough to just knock Surfer off his board. He survived blasts which ravaged entire solar systems. Let's say that something does in fact happen to him. He's injured in some way, which, as crazy as it sounds, is still in fact possible. Well, Silver Surfer has some of the best regenerative abilities that you've ever seen, all thanks to the power cosmic. He's been all sliced up and simply regenerated himself. He's been reduced into tiny little fragments and just regenerated himself as whole again. Surfer can even exist without his body, like existing as the snow or the air around them, then reform himself out of that nothingness. But what about the Man of Steel? Well, have you ever heard about the time when Hawkman hit Superman with the Claw of Horus, which, according to Hawkman, draws its powers from the magnetic core of the Earth, meaning that he was essentially hitting Superman with the planet itself. And while Superman might look like he was knocked out, he was actually just faking it. Because I guess that's something Superman does now. He fakes getting knocked out. He's also been right there when two planets collided into each other, Apocalypse and New Genesis respectively. That matters because both of those planets are actually way bigger than Earth. They might not look it, but they are. So you know how Darkseid travels around everywhere through boom tubes? Oftentimes our heroes go to Apocalypse through boom tubes too? Well, those tubes actually do more than just transport you from point A to point B. They also adjust for size and scaling. If you were to travel to Apocalypse without the boom tubes, like Supergirl's done this before, you'd actually be the relative size of an insect compared to everything else on the planet. So yeah, these things are big, and Superman survived it. So then let's take a look at Jiren, one of the ultimate tanks in Dragon Ball. I mean, all throughout the Tournament of Power, Jiren was just casually brushing off attacks. Remember, these were all from some of the strongest warriors across the multiverse. Not just that, but Jiren was able to completely no-sell multiple blows from Super Saiyan Goku, who actually should be able to throw around planet-level strikes like Superman and Surfer, so Jiren might be able to take their strikes just as easily. And Jiren really repeatedly did this throughout the tournament, taking attacks from Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta and not even being affected, or taking attacks from Hit and not even being affected. And not just that, but Jiren is able to take some Energy Blast just as easily. He took a Final Flash from Vegeta and acted like he didn't even feel it. Even when Goku mastered Ultra Instinct, even though Jiren was definitely able to feel all those attacks, well, he still managed to take them and take them and take them and keep fighting back. His durability is absolutely off the charts. So I think Superman here might be outclassed by both Surfer and Jiren. And I think I might actually have to give the point to both of them. Jiren is probably the legit toughest out of the three, but Silver Surfer has the massive advantage of being able to regenerate from pretty much any attack thanks to the power cosmic. Even if his body is completely destroyed, well, even that isn't enough to put him down for good. So both get the point. Now, it's not just strength, it's not just durability, because there's also speed. And Superman is also insanely fast. I mean, just for starters, Superman can easily go faster than light speed. That's just for sure a given. I mean, he's flown from the center of the universe to the Earth in just 60 days. A trip that would take light itself thousands and thousands, probably even hundreds of thousands of years. I mean, we don't even know what the actual center of the universe would be, but just to get to the center of the Milky Way galaxy would take something like 26,000 light years. We can't even fathom how big space is, how far away the center of the universe, how long it would take light itself to travel there. Then Superman is doing it in 60 days? I don't even think we can understand how impressive that is. And he can operate in a fight just as fast too. I mean, even besides doing stuff like punching Doomsday literally thousands of times in a second, he's able to perceive and move within microseconds and nanoseconds. Superman is very, very fast. Same with Silver Surfer. He's fast enough to enter warp speed under his own power, traveling across 500,000 light years in just seconds. And just to put that into perspective, just our Milky Way galaxy is 100,000 light years across. So it's as if Silver Surfer was traveling across 5 Milky Way galaxies in just seconds. In the time that it took me to finish this sentence. And he's done this over and over again. Surfer has some of the fastest travel speed you've ever seen. It's almost like he's straight up on par with Wally West. In a fight, well, Surfer is able to move at ridiculous speeds as well, flying around and dodging attacks at the speed of light and moving within microseconds and nanoseconds. So same with Superman, except Surfer probably has an even faster base speed when it comes to moving from point A to point B. However, then we get to Jiren, and that's when this kind of gets flipped on its head. Because let me ask you, who's faster? Usain Bolt or Bruce Lee? And the answer is, well, it depends on the context. And while Superman and Silver Surfer might be faster than Jiren when it comes to flying around, when it comes to a fight, well, Jiren stands apart from the rest. Now, we know that quantifying speed with Dragon Ball characters, well, it can be tricky, and that's putting it lightly. But it's pretty definitive by now that characters like Goku and Jiren are able to move much faster than the speed of light when it comes to a fight. Like, take a look at this. During the Tournament of Power, one of the Pride Troopers working under Jiren, Dispo, was stated to be faster than the speed of light in his base state. And yet, even though he's faster than light himself, well, he was completely blitzed by an unmastered Ultra Instinct Goku. But not Jiren. While Dispo was literally only just beginning to register Goku's attack, Jiren had already dodged it. And even as Goku became more and more powerful and got faster and faster with Ultra Instinct throughout the fight, Jiren was still able to outspeed him. Of course, this all changed when Goku mastered Ultra Instinct, and then he began to be able to blitz Jiren. Of course, this led to Jiren breaking his limits and being able to swap hands with mastered Ultra Instinct Goku, a character who's capable of blitzing a character faster than a character who can blitz a faster than light character. That's a lot of faster than light, man. And while this obviously isn't completely quantifiable, it does show that Jiren is very, very far beyond the speed of light in combat, which is more than can be said for Silver Surfer and Superman. So point goes to Jiren, just because neither Surfer or Clark have the kind of combat speed feats to compare with him, even if they might be fast on their own too. Now that we've gone over their physical powers and abilities, it is time to talk about maybe the most important part of this fight, their energy powers and output. And I think it's clear to say that Superman isn't taking this point. Now, this isn't to discount his heat vision. I think it's actually probably a bit more powerful than most people suspect. But when you're trying to compare energy against the likes of Silver Surfer and Jiren, well, just heat vision isn't going to be enough here. So then what about Silver Surfer? Well, the big guy has regularly been able to destroy planets with his energy blast, sometimes doing it just to prove a point. And everything around him also just backs up the point that Surfer has planetary level energy blast. But while that's incredibly impressive, I think for Surfer the bigger thing is just all the versatility that comes along with his energy powers. Surfer has the ability to create force fields to shield himself from attacks, but he can also absorb any incoming energy attack too. He's been able to absorb some smaller scale energy blast and things like that, but he's also taken all the attacks from an entire alien starship fleet. Take all that energy and actually use it to rekindle a dying star. Not just that, but he's taken the Unilord's power before and returned it 1,000,000 times over, annihilating a solar system. And on top of that is just his actual energy manipulation. He can manipulate an opponent's own energy powers, quickly taking their energy and turning it against them. And if Surfer wanted to, he can do this on an absolutely astronomical scale. Like, Surfer has taken the energy of the Big Crunch before, basically the antithesis of the Big Bang, where the universe stops growing and starts shrinking until it returns to nothingness, and channeled all that energy and power in order to defeat two primordial gods. Now, obviously, those last two feats are Silver Surfer at the absolute height of his powers, but I felt like we could still include them, just to show the truest extent of what Silver Surfer is capable of doing. And then that leaves us with Jiren. And like most all Dragon Ball characters, he's definitely known for his ki powers. I mean, just for starters, it's been said that he surpasses most gods of destruction when it comes to power. And just to remind you, gods of destruction are capable of stuff like this or this. They can even threaten to destroy entire universes. And Jiren is more powerful than that. Wiz even says that his potential is immeasurable. And remember, all that more powerful than gods talk, that was all before Jiren broke his limits and unlocked his hidden power. But let's try and get something a little more definitive going. Well, just for starters, Dragon Ball characters have regularly been able to destroy planets and moons, and in fact, have been able to do this while they were all much weaker. Then moving upwards, Super Saiyan God Goku was able to send out one Kamehameha and blast through dozens, maybe even hundreds of Beerus' little spears, and each one of those blasts was implied to be able to casually destroy planets. And that was just Super Saiyan God. Goku was way more powerful during the tournament in his fight with Jiren. So safe to say that Jiren is leagues and leagues more powerful than this too. And yeah, like Jiren and Goku were able to shake the whole infinite world of Void with just their presence, without powering up or attacking. They would get significantly more powerful than even this throughout the fight. Now, I'm not going to try and argue that Jiren actually has the power to straight up destroy the universe, but I will say that it looks like his energy powers definitely operate close to this realm, which is just crazy impressive. But is it more impressive than Silver Surfer? Because while Jiren definitely has the more powerful energy blast, can he hope to match up against Surfer's versatility? And can Surfer's versatility compare against Jiren's raw power? I'm honestly not sure, so they both get a point. Sorry, Superman, you get left out again. Now, I know that just saying powers is kind of vague, but it's also meant to be. This is just the miscellaneous tab, where we can talk about any powers or abilities that we haven't hit just yet. And for Superman, well, that looks a lot like his freeze breath, which again, just like his heat vision, I think that's actually probably a bit more powerful than you might think. But also, just like his heat vision, just freeze breath alone isn't enough to give you the edge in this category. And now for Jiren, well, it's basically just his stare or his presence. Like we said earlier, he could shake the whole of infinite nothingness with just his presence. But what's even more impressive is his glare, stopping a punch from Golden Frieza cold, stopping attacks from Goku, from Vegeta, from Hit. Jiren could do all this with just basically glaring them down. But even that is going to be hard pressed to outmatch Silver Surfer here. Mostly because Surfer has basically every power in the book. And that's not even really an exaggeration. He's able to manipulate matter, which, while that often looks like changing the environment around him, he can also effectively atomize an opponent, instantly defeating them with just one shot. Or if he wants to take his time with it, well, Surfer can also manipulate and completely mess with an enemy's insides, torturing them before finally killing them. Surfer can manipulate gravity around him. He can travel through dimensions. And he can travel through time and perceive all of time at once. He can manipulate an opponent's soul, even entering into the astral plane in order to destroy souls altogether. He secretly one of the most powerful telepaths in the universe. He's shown off telekinesis before and can turn intangible. Silver Surfer can even create life all around him. So yeah, I wasn't kidding when I said that Surfer had pretty much every other power out there. Point definitely has to go to Silver Surfer here. But it can't just be all about powers and abilities. It's only fair to talk about each of these characters' weaknesses too. Now for Jiren, he doesn't have any actual physical weaknesses, but he does have a mental one. He refuses to work as a team, instead only relying on his own strength and only trusting his own power. It's what ultimately led to Jiren losing the tournament, because even though he was the most powerful, the whole point of the Tournament of Power was actually teamwork. Otherwise, it would have been just like any other tournament. Of course, that doesn't really hurt Jiren here, because he's literally by himself, so there's no team for him to choose not to work with. And as for Silver Surfer, while he doesn't have a physical weakness either, he does have a mental one. For him, well, he's just a good, moral person. And sometimes that helps him. Like Mephisto literally couldn't eat Surfer's soul because he was just too righteous. But most of the time, it just means that Silver Surfer never goes all out in fights and is constantly holding back. Like Surfer could have the potential to atomize both Superman and Jiren right from the get-go. And while he's got the power to do it, he never would. He only saves powers like that for the worst of people, and when he's got no other choice. And even then, he's basically begging his opponent to stop so he doesn't have to use the ability. Now, usually, Surfer has the ability to keep the moral high ground and still not lose the fight because he's just that powerful. But in this fight, well, I don't think he's gonna have that luxury. Surfer refusing to go all out in a fight like this can only hurt him. And then for Superman, well, he's got two very literal weaknesses we can talk about here: kryptonite and red sun radiation. And while you might not think that those two weaknesses are really applicable to this fight, well, think again. Because I wasn't kidding when I said that Silver Surfer had every power imaginable. Because he's also got the power to create both kryptonite and different types of radiation, including red sun. And while you might think that Surfer doesn't know about Superman's weaknesses, well, think again. Surfer has a cosmic level of awareness, allowing him to comprehend the rules of the universe that others find incomprehensible. And so he can sense an opponent's weakness and easily take them down by exploiting it. He could do it with Gladiator, he could do it with Superman too. So, who's ultimately coming out on top here? Well, looking at this, I think it's clear that Superman doesn't stand much of a chance. The only advantage that he has is physical strength, and even that's debatable. You could argue that either Silver Surfer or Jiren are actually physically stronger than Superman, and I'd concede that point. I just think that Clark has the most impressive physical showings. But even just physical strength isn't going to be enough here. Silver Surfer is his physical equal in pretty much every way. Then that's not even talking about all the different ways that Surfer could beat Superman with all his different powers. Then with Jiren, well, Jiren just way outclasses Superman. He's tougher, he's faster, and his overall power level and energy output just way surpasses Clark. Superman isn't going to win here. So then Silver Surfer and Jiren. While they both have their specific advantages here, I think it basically comes down to Jiren has more power while Surfer has more versatility. especially since Silver Surfer is never going to use his full power in a fight. Jiren will. Jiren is much faster in a fight, he's got more powerful energy blast, he's tough enough to take a lot of attacks from Surfer and not even be phased. Those are all big advantages to have. But it's also clear that Surfer will never use his unlimited versatility in a fight either. He will never go all out. He'll never go for the instant kill. That's one of the primary reasons why he gets defeated throughout comics. I think the same thing happens here. You have to go all out against a guy like Jiren. And while Surfer might have the potential to defeat him, just like Superman, I think he's going to fall too. Jiren wins. But what do y'all think? Sound off in the comments down below. I know you're gonna have thoughts and feelings on this one for sure. If you stuck around this long and made it to the end of the video, that's amazing. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting us. And if you want to go subscribe, well, go subscribe. You're gonna see more videos like this one every single week. I'll see y'all then. I'll see y'all next time.